All right, welcome everybody to another live stream Monday night. We got an action-packed show set up for you. Going to do a little Rend Lake review here for first 20, 30 minutes here, and then Corey Bohlman's going to join us again. He just got back from the Bass Nation event on Lake Erie, and if you saw some of his posts or heard about the tournament, it was a pretty crazy setup up there. So we can talk to someone directly about that one. All right, just waiting for a few more guys to get on. Hey, who's on tonight? Say hey. I downloaded some data from MLF on the Rend Lake tournament here. Made a few fancy charts. We'll look at the top 10. We'll go over Illini division standings as it sits after 4 tournaments, and we got a little 5-6 week break here before the super tournament. Hey, Brad. Brad's always there. Welcome back to the show. We'll see you in the top 10, my friend. Tyler, new face. Welcome to the show. Where are you from, Tyler? Yeah, we got 5 guys on here. Usually takes, give it a few minutes of warm up here for people to finish dinner and get on down. Kind of a little update too here. I did fish the Kentucky Lake LBL Saturday the 12th. I've been way behind on video here, but I did some catching up on that one, and my boater reviewed it today and gave it a thumbs up here. So I just cleaned up some thumbnails here, and that will release Thursday morning at 5 a.m. in case you're up here. That's 42 minutes of fun. My boater was in the top 20 here, and um, hopefully take a look at that. Ron, welcome. It was nice to finally meet you face to face here at the event, Ron. I'm glad you shouted out to me as I was walking by here. We got some big news for Ron too here. He's on the scoreboard, shall we say, today. Chris, welcome. Oh yeah, you're asking about how you get on for next year and how you sign up for tournaments. Yeah. Um, I think I had an old video about how to sign up. I did it a long time ago, but some of those old videos really bad and delete them. I forget if that one's still online. I'll go look and see if it's there. Maybe on one of my miscellaneous videos here. I kind of showed the sign up process online here. But yeah, I guess you probably don't want to pay, what is it, 80, $90 membership a year here to go fish a tournament. USA Bassins are only like $30 for the year, and they have all kind of individual divisions. They got a Shelby division, they got a Wren division. I think they got a Sarah. I know they got a Sarah division. They got a Kincaid division. So if you wanted to get a little experience, but that's a partner kind of a boating thing. You got to know someone with a boat. It's not just jump in as a co-angler. All right, who else we got online here? 7-8. We're about ready to rock here. Let's take a quick look here. We got, oh, hey, there's Corey here. We'll pop him on. Hey, Corey, welcome to the show. You made it here in time. You're right
Hey,
down the street from me from the airport. I'm just over
I
by
was.
Craythor Lake,
I
but,
was.
but the next exit up on the highway.
Can you guys hear that air conditioning running? Did it pick that up or no?
No, you're pretty clean. You got a little bit of an echo in the room. You probably got a room with not much in it, but no, the
Yep.
audio's good.
Okay. Got a air conditioning unit running in the background. Just want to make sure you can't hear that.
Yeah, it's like work calls. Every time I start talking on the work call, the lawnmower guy goes right by the window here.
That looked like some pretty decent weights from Saturday.
Yeah, Joshua Tyner burned it up. Remember, we were talking to him at the weigh-in at Shelbyville right over there, and I wish I would have got his name. And just FYI, I did reach out to him on Facebook to see if he'd come talk on the show too here. So hopefully we'll get him on a future show. I know I talked with Gabe a bunch too here. I know he's got his channel and he's going to have his stream tomorrow night. Please tune into that one. I'm sure he'll talk about it. And I was going to ask him maybe he'll pop on next week or something and just do a little recap. That'd be pretty cool here. And he really smacked him. He had big bass and the big bag where that big 5-pounder really helped there. And, people really clumped up afterwards and some typical names up at the top, some non-typical names. Brennan McCorn hasn't been burning it up like he has been. And there's some hammers that didn't do so well and went further on down the list here.
Yeah, I looked at the results a little bit the other day. It looked like there was quite a few 5-fish limits, I guess, for as bad as everybody talks about Rend being. I've never been there, so I have no insight. But
it's a unique kind of fishery. It's kind of hit and miss. It can be a grind. It can be okay. People that really know, the areas in the lake, like anywhere, kind of, they have so many spots. They just, know when to move and keep churning for those spots, which is, it's a trait we all got to have. One of the worst things you can do is fish history or fish the way you want to fish as opposed to letting the fish tell you, right, Corey?
That's right.
It's just human nature. So as far as strategy goes, that's a tough thing. And then on the co-angler side here, oh, wait a second.
That looks like the points.
That's the points here. Yeah. I hit the wrong graphic. I got them in the wrong order here. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, that's
This is really weird. This is really weird. I'm hitting the graphic, but
no co-angler results.
Yeah, this is total points. Oh, top 10. Yeah, here we go.
Co-anglers. Man, that's a blowout.
Oh, I put the chart on twice here. Okay. I thought I had this all set up. Let me just grab it. I'll be right here. Here we go. There's the right chart. I haven't used this show the charts. It's so hard to do it online, so I just took snips from the website so it would be easier. I had it all set up. I forget if I leave my phone on it, it picks up the Bluetooth and it messes with Bluetooth of the computer, so I had to come back in and put them together quick. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Here's the co-angler. Gabe stomped on it. Congratulations to Gabe here. Super quality fisherman, you can tell. I mean, he's been doing those videos for 10 years. He's out on the boat all the time. Hard-working guy here, and it pays off. Ken Landreth. I believe he had his daughter out there fishing. I saw them talking. I wanted to look at that. Looks like, we only had 2 women in the events, and, she was younger too. Maybe she's doing college fishing. Do you know them, Corey, at all?
I don't know the name.
Yeah. Chase, Brad right up there. Congratulations, Brad, here. We'll see you in AOI 2 here, really kicking butt this year. In the Illini division. Eric, congratulations, Eric. Hopefully you're on 2 here. He had another 2.5 or so pounder right up to the gunnel, and it hit the net and broke off, or he would have been right up there with Brad too here. That rounds out the top 10. Noticeably, Ron got his first fish. He's a brand new co-angler this year. He was one of the first guys that reached out to me on the channel. Like to congratulate you, Ron, to many more events, and it'll just get better from here. And I know you're a little bit discouraged in the year, but hey, Eric and I were zeroing the whole year, and look what happens here. So, amen to you guys. Dustin, another normal here. I know sometimes he doesn't have audio. He had some shorts, did not get a scoreable fish. And yours truly, Big Zippo. I had a couple bluegill bites and a couple what seemed like little bass bites here. My guy, Chris Renfro, he was great. He was a great boater. He was pre-fishing with Brad. They were way up in the streams. I mean, we had to go like 40, 45 minutes through stump fields. We were into the feeder feeder, like swamp little creek areas, all the way up on that bridge that was by construction on 57. They were nailing them there 2 days before. They were gone. He had
Wow.
one 3-pounder rollover on a chatterbait, about 15, 20 minutes in, and that's all she wrote. And by the time we got out of there into some other areas here, storms rolled in. If you weren't there, Corey, man, we had flash floods. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, there's some thunder, there's some lightning. Oh, that doesn't look good. And all of a sudden, the lake just turned white, and it was like a downpour
Oh
for an
man.
hour. Yeah, yeah, that was fun. Let's see here. Now, if we look at, it's kind of cutting off the tap here. Some of my fancy charts I did a year ago here. Um, in order of finish by weight, I graphed out how many bass the anglers caught. Only four co-anglers caught 3. A bunch of guys caught 2. A handful caught 1, and about half the field caught none. There's me again. All right, so kind of typical for a Illini division this year. It hasn't been that bad years before, but kind of gives you an idea. There were 68 boats there. The weight of those bass, yeah, it usually follows this. You get some bigger bags right up here, pretty steep in the top 10 here. They paid out 12, so typically 2 for 4 pounds. You don't get a check, but 2 for 4.5 pounds, you squeak in. That last check or so. That was
Yeah.
kind of typical, and some small fish here and some zeros there. So to kind of round that out a little bit more here, and I didn't do this for boater, Corey. I just ran out of time here. It kind of takes a while here, mostly co-anglers, but more boaters coming in, and we'll cater to that here too. But here's the co-standings right now. I believe this is Bobby McNeil leading with like nine something here. He's
Running away with
caught
it
a
a little
bass
bit.
in all of them.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
I said he's running away with it there a little bit. That's kind of
Yeah.
shocking.
I mean, the super tournament is 1.5 points and 350 points. So, I mean, anything's possible. um, a handful of guys, like it usually is, the top 10, and in close running. If he falters at the super tournament and gets blanked, he could really drop down. So it's tight up for anyone up here in the running for AOI. Probably not guys down here. You see this kind of tier around 500, and this next tier around, wow, 1 fish for the year and 2 fish for the year. That's how tough the Illini division has been. And guys like us, Ron here, you jump from this tier to this tier. Eric jumped up into this tier here. Brad's up here in the running here. And then you got the rest of us who are licking our wounds and planning for next year. All right, let's see here. So, yeah, Brad.
Is that the last tournament? Is it just the super tournament left?
Yeah, just the super tournament here. That'll be down at Kentucky Lake this year. They've been alternating kind of Rend or Kentucky Lake here.
Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to go fish that yet or not. That's the weekend after we're moving into our new house, and I don't know. I've always wanted to go down there to Kentucky Lake, but we'll see what happens. I think I'm good enough in the standings as far as I haven't looked. I guess at the updated after yesterday, how far I dropped not being there, but I'll have to see where I'm at if I think I can still get the invite to the regional without going down there.
You fished 2 Shelbyvilles, no Rends, right?
Right.
And you did pretty well in each one, so you're probably sitting with 450 points or something like that.
Right.
Well, I have it up.
Only having 60. I mean, you're only getting, they're taking 60, I think, and we're only getting 68 boats. So, I mean, everybody I've talked to said I should be in the clear.
Yeah, I think you should, but yeah, I didn't look at it.
But
I can maybe sneak a peek.
Being 3 times points or whatever, or 1.5 points.
1.5. Yeah, well, it's 350 instead of 250, so kind of 1 point. Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I think they say there's always like 10 people that turn down the regional anyways. So especially after
after
what they had last year and going back to the same place. But
Yeah, I know some people don't even want to go here
I
too.
think they
So yeah,
usually go pretty far down the list to get the 60. So I think I'll probably roll the dice and
I think you'll be no problem. Hey, I forgot to mention John. John caught a fish too. We got to talk. Actually, I ran into John at I'm sitting there at Academy Sports in Paducah. You know, it's the bait shop on the way to Kentucky Lake. We fished the LBL two here, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" So we had a nice conversation and
oh, nice.
hook up, and we were gonna pre-fish, but I did the on Kentucky Lake last week. I did a over 30-mile run from the dam all the way to Paris and back, and I was kind of sore, and it was 3 and 4 footers, but not too bad. But on Monday, I bent over too quick to tie my shoes, and well, you know the story. I tweaked that back spasm, and oh man, I had to work at home all week. I was on the heating pad. I didn't know if I was going to make it to run there for a while, so we didn't get to pre-fish. But yeah, yeah, for sure. Not getting a keeper in that first tournament is tough for you, Brad. That I mean, that's almost even more luck than just being a co-angler. Yeah, there's a lot of shorts down there. A lot of shorts at Shelbyville too here. So, if we go back to those shorts, I believe here in Northern Illinois, largemouth bass, in one growing season they get to be about six. In two growing seasons they get to be about 10 to 12. So it takes 3 years to become like a keeper fish, 14, 15 inches here. So if you look at the kind of history on what was maybe a good year or a bad year, so say 3, 4 years ago, we probably had some not good, spawning kind of capabilities, and I'm guessing by talking with some people, that's kind of the deal. Do you ever follow stuff like that, Corey?
Yeah, a little bit. It's always hard to judge on these lakes. It seems like, you think they're going to be on an uphill trend and then, something happens and next thing you know, you're still catching a bunch of shorts. It's always hard to kind of predict for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah. And then if you're more in a southern climate, it's about double. So here it takes
Right.
it takes about 5, 6 years to get a 4 or 5 pound bass.
Right.
Down in Florida, that's a few growing seasons.
Well, then, we've got all these power plant lakes, how does these, I still don't think I've really understood how these power plant lakes affect bass growth around here because water's warm in portions of those lakes. So are those fish growing year round like they would in a southern climate? There's a lot of variables, I think.
Yeah, like Newton, those guys grew like southern bass because they have forage and they can grow all year and they don't, kind of hibernate. They don't totally hibernate, but they totally, their metabolism drops down completely, in those cold months.
And then you get lakes like Shelbyville that I think we talked about on the last time, does it have the forage to, you got a lot of these smaller fish, but does it have the forage to, sustain, the biomass essentially for those fish to grow at a normal rate?
Right, right. And then the structure, deterioration of the lakes because they're both 50 years old and the
Yeah.
habitat restoration, all that stuff again. And they're trying to get on it, like dropping rocks, dropping rock piles, the cubes in both lakes. But we could see like up where we were, even the man-made crappie cubes, crappie beds up there in Rend, they were just rotting and falling apart and
Yeah.
half there. Well, some of the visual ones, some you can't see, but
Yep.
it takes people time and effort and clubs to go do that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting.
High water spring. Yeah, definitely having all the fish up in those bushes where no one could catch them in the spring and they could spawn as long as the spawn didn't get trapped, as the water came down here. If they were able to hatch, yeah, oh man, in 3 years, it's going to be incredible, probably. Yep, healthy looking fish. Yeah, let's see, times. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, shallow muddy crock pot. Chris. That's an interesting. I've never heard that one before. Yep. Yeah. All right. Any closing comments, folks, on Ren here? And we'll try and do a preview on Kentucky Lake, and we got a little break here. I'm trying to get ahead of the ball game on some videos and some live streams. I got caught up in the holidays here and didn't get my schedule out, and some other things messed up here. Still trying to get Levi Cole on too here. He's got a tough schedule, but August should open up for a bunch of people here, and we'll be bored, so it'll probably be
Starting to
pretty
slow
good.
down a little bit.
Take a break and relax, right?
Yeah,
You got any family stuff planned there, Corey?
I don't think so. I forgot, I got a tournament this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to get to fish a singles tournament out on Clinton. I got to have a procedure done on my eye Thursday up at University of Iowa. So I don't know. I don't know if the doctor he told me 3 days minimum to recover, but tournament Saturday, we'll see. I'll have to talk to him Thursday after he gets done and see.
Yeah, I hope that
Saturday
that goes well. All righty, so that's enough for Rent here. We've got Corey was nice enough to join us again here. He's fresh off the Bass Nation tournament here in Lake Erie, and I'm not sure if you guys have been following media here. Corey, why don't you give us a little background about these Bass Nation tournaments and how they set up and how many are there and how you got involved in them?
So yeah, Bass Nation's always had kind of their state tournaments, their regionals. They kind of shifted gears a little bit the last couple of years and they opened. It used to just be, you had to be a member of a Bass Nation club, a Bass Nation state team. Then they'd have the regionals. Well, I think they were trying to get more participation in that, so they opened it up kind of to. Those guys get priority entry, and then they just open it up. It's kind of an open tournament, $400 entry fee. And then they take the top 10% from these regionals and go directly to the national championship. So there's 4 regionals. I went to Pickwick. The Pickwick was the first one. That was in early March. And then they had one on Eufaula, Oklahoma, and another one on the James River in April. And then they did Lake Erie. This is kind of the north. I think they call that the north region, northeast maybe, regional. Last week was supposed to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you know anything about Lake Erie, the wind likes to blow anytime there's a tournament. We kind of had a bad tournament location. We can get into that. But anyways, we fished the first day, and weather ended up getting nasty coming in. And then they didn't. Thursday, there was 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. They canceled that already. He sent us a text Wednesday night. We didn't get to fish Thursday. Thought we'd get to go Friday. Everybody got their boats in the water except me because I was late to the ramp. And it was a blessing. And then, they canceled. The wind was blowing a little harder than what they thought it would be Friday morning. And it was blowing right in. I mean, we were going to have to, everybody was making runs. We were all going to have to run 15 miles straight head into another 15 mile an hour wind. And so they went ahead and canceled it. But no, I got in.
It's not the wind, it's the waves. How big were those waves? They looked huge on those couple of Facebook videos.
Yeah, I don't know how to judge those waves. Some guys said they were 8-footers. Some guys said, I would guess, the majority of them coming back in. So we started tournament Wednesday. Practice was actually fairly decent as far as conditions. Saturday afternoon, I got off the water early. They had some really nasty storms come through. That was the first day of practice. So you get 3.5 days of practice, 3 tournament days. So practice started the Saturday before. And they had some nasty storms come in. I was actually driving up so we could fish. We took off in Lake Erie out of Monroe, Michigan, just kind of on the western shores of Lake Erie. We could fish Lake Erie, the Detroit River, or Lake St. Clair. Well, if you follow bass fishing, Lake St. Clair has just been pumping out some monster bags. So a lot of guys were kind of committed to that up there, and I was one of them. Went up there, was practicing. So they had some storms roll in. I got off the water just in time, and they actually had a BFL tournament, Michigan Divisional BFL tournament Saturday, and they had 70-mile-an-hour winds. Some of those guys got caught in and tore their stuff up. I know a guy that it took him 3 hours to get back. I mean, I've seen a lot of videos and stuff since then of guys that tore their stuff up on Saturday for this BFL. So got cut short on Saturday. That was the only day, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was beautiful. We had great practice weather, of course. And then kind of started looking at the tournament, maybe talking some storms Wednesday, Thursday. Friday was supposed to be good. So take off Wednesday. It was rough. So where this Monroe's at, in order for anybody to get anywhere they wanted to fish, everybody was running 35 or 40 miles. There's some stuff around Monroe area where you can catch some fish, but the bigger bags are either coming out from the islands that are really popular or up on St. Clair. So I was making about a 40-mile run to the mouth of Lake St. Clair. Took off Wednesday. It was a little bumpy. It's about 15 miles from Monroe to the mouth of the Detroit River. And it was rough, or I thought it was rough until I experienced what I experienced coming back Wednesday. But it took me about 30 minutes to go 15 miles Wednesday morning to get to the river. And then once you get to the river, you run 65. It's pretty smooth running all the way the rest of the way. So it took us about an hour to get up to my fishing spot Wednesday morning. Caught a limit fairly quickly, a couple hours. I expected to have about 4 or 5 hours to fish up there. Was going to give myself about 2 hours to get back the first day, just to kind of be conservative, see how everything shook out. I had some stuff down closer to the ramp. I thought, well, if we get back early, we'll fish, So I caught a limit, I thought I had 15 to 16 pounds. I lost one 3-pounder at the boat that would have helped me. And I had another, what I thought was a pretty good fish, hooked up and fought it for a good minute and a half. And it just was dogging under the boat. Those big smallmouths, you kind of loosen your drag and you let them fight. And I thought I had it pinned pretty good. And it finally just must have been skin hooked or something and pulled off. And about 11 o'clock, the skies started getting dark. I was planning to fish till about 12:30 or 12:40 in that area. And about 11 o'clock, the sky's kind of getting dark. We heard some thunder, and my co-angler and I, he already had a limit as well. Started kind of thinking, we were kind of chatting like, I'm not really like fishing in the lightning. We're out in the middle. This isn't bank fishing or anything. This is open water fishing. So you're the tallest thing around for a couple miles. And decided we were going to be conservative and go ahead and start heading back. The ride in the river was pretty uneventful. We did spear one good wave behind. There's a lot of big boats up there, big yachts and pleasure boats. And we got behind a boat, and I think I just waited too long to get out of its wake. And the waves were just, it was a big wave. And I speared it pretty good, got us pretty soaked. And we ran on, got down to the mouth of the river and thought maybe we'd fish a little bit. We kind of stopped, took a break, refilled the live well. We'd been running for 35, 40 minutes. And we looked out on Lake Erie, and I knew then we needed to go. It was already blowing. You could see the flags, and you could see the white caps pretty good. So we take off across there to make the last 15 miles, and we didn't get a mile or two out of the Detroit River, and it was something I never want to experience again. Let's put it that way. But the majority of the waves were probably, 3 or 4 footers. And then you'd get these, they were very inconsistent. You'd get these, I guess like these guys call them rogue waves. And there'd be, 3 or 4 of them together, and they'd be, massive, 5, 6 footers, I guess. I don't know how to judge. We were taking water constantly, just had the bilge pump on constant. And, you just did the best you could to keep the front end up. Luckily I remember watching some videos maybe last winter or something on YouTube, and I had nothing else to do, like Gerald Swindle and some guys talking about running big water, and what you do. And they just say you trim, you just get the front end up and kind of plow water. And that's what we had to do it took us an hour to go 15 miles. It was pretty nasty. And a lot of guys,
I bet.
as you've seen the videos, Ethan Fields, Ethan had
Yep.
a giant sack of fish and didn't make it back. A lot of guys, so what happened, a lot of those guys coming from St. Clair didn't think it was going to be that bad. And they ran the, 30, 40 miles and got to the mouth of the river. And then they get there and they thought, oh crap, I'm in trouble. I didn't give myself enough time. And they didn't, there was a lot of guys late. There was a lot of guys that, like Ethan in general, he finally just turned around and went to a different ramp and had somebody bring his trailer. It was that bad. So yeah, there was a lot of guys that I think they said Friday, they started out with 167 boats and only 107 showed up on Friday to fish. So 60 guys had dropped out, either tore their stuff up, maybe didn't catch fish and just decided I'm not going to tear my stuff up again. So I ended up weighing, I had one dead fish, I think just got beat up on the run.
Yeah.
And that's a 4-ounce penalty. So I weighed in 15.13, ended up having 15.9 with the penalty, put me in 45th place after the first day, which was I figured I'd be in about 50th or 60th with that weight. But again, I played it conservatively, getting back. I knew I didn't have weight to be up, but I thought, 3-day tournament, 2-day, I figured it'd be at least a 2-day tournament. I thought for sure we'd fish on Friday. And actually, Brad, it was like a southeast wind blowing directly across Lake Erie, which is like the worst you can get. It actually had, I think, more south in it than it did east. It was kind of shifting a little bit. So we had to, where we ran from the Detroit River down to Monroe, we basically just had to run. It had a little bit of crosswind in it, but it was almost head on into it. And then it switched. So on Friday morning, it was actually coming out of the northeast. So we were going to have to run directly into it going up, to get where we were going. And there were some guys, there was 2 guys in 17.5-foot bass trackers with 115s that somehow, I don't think the one guy showed up on Friday, but the kid I was staying at the hotel, the kid I was staying next to at the hotel, he was out there and he came back. He was ready to go Friday. He was from Maine, actually. And he was out there in his little bass tracker. He was ready to go, but I was just getting ready to get in the water Friday morning, and my buddy called and he said, the tournament director had jumped in somebody's boat, and we were kind of back in a bay, and then you had to idle out. But once you got out there was no protection. It just dumped you right out into the ocean, I say, and
yeah,
is basically what it is, And so he's, the tournament director come back. He's like, well, you guys could probably make it. It's maybe not as bad as it was Wednesday afternoon. He said, but everybody's making long runs, and we got these guys in smaller boats. And I think it was as ticked off as I was 6 ounces from getting a check. So the top 40 got paid. I was 6 ounces from getting a check. And I really thought I probably could have caught I thought I was going to get a longer day up there Friday. The wind was actually supposed to die down over the day. And, by the afternoon coming back, sorry, I'm reading Chris. That's what happened to me, Chris. 2 years ago, I had a detached, got poked in the eye playing basketball, and had a detached retina. I took 2 surgeries to get it fixed. Hopefully they think it's fixed now. And now I got some calcium buildup. Not to get off topic here, but good luck with that. Good luck with that. Do what they tell you to do. That's all I can say. But so I thought if I could get 4 or 5 hours up there, so kind of backing up. My practice I never really got on any big fish. There's been a lot of these guys were catching 20-pound bags up on St. Clair, 4-pounders. I fished up there. My boy and I actually went up before the off limits. They had a 10-day off limits before the tournament. My boy and I actually went up there and just kind of went for a fun trip. Still never caught a 4-pounder. Caught a lot of fish, just no 4-pounders. And then same way in practice. I had one area that was probably a mile by a half mile wide. It had a lot of rock piles and some grass patches and stuff like that. And I thought I could catch 14 to 16 pounds but I hadn't really spent a lot of time there in practice. I'd kind of bop in there and, okay, I'd get bid. And I spent, I don't know how many hours just idling. There was the only place I could find there was lot of clusters of like rock veins, rock piles. So I just spent my time behind the steering wheel and graphed that whole area. I was going to count. I bet I had at least 60 waypoints in a mile by a half kind of area. And I caught some 3.5 pounders there, but again, I'd never caught a 4 pounder. So I wasn't really sure, I was guessing I could catch 14 to 16 pounds in that area, but I didn't have anywhere else. I tried to practice a little bit on Erie and was kind of just overwhelmed, and the current in the river is really strong. I felt like that St. Clair, I hated to make a 40, 50 mile run to catch 14 to 16 pounds when I knew that probably wasn't going to do me a whole lot of, that they were taking the top 18 to the championship. So that was the goal, obviously. I didn't think 14 to 16 pounds was even going to get me that, but I thought it would at least get me a check. So that was the only thing I had. And some bigger fish showed up the first day, Wednesday. I had 2 fish that were actually pushing 4 pounds. And then I had like just a couple low 3s. And then I actually had a 2 pounder in my bag. Really wish I would have got. I ended up having about 3.5 hours to fish up there was all, with leaving early.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward. Again, the wind was supposed to die down Friday. I really thought if I could get more time in that area with, the fish I caught on Wednesday, that I could maybe catch 17 to 19 pounds. And, maybe you get lucky and catch 1 5 pounder and you got 20.
Yeah.
I was pretty disappointed we didn't get to go on Friday, but I think it was the right call. I really didn't want to tear my stuff up. I was fortunate coming back that I had given myself plenty of time Wednesday, that I didn't have to push it. Didn't tear anything up. Really
who cares about equipment? You can replace equipment. You can't replace your life.
Well,
right?
that
and
too.
Stuff like that happens. In fact, I just saw on the Shelbyville pages here the other day, they found an abandoned boat here and a guy drowned up by Colshaft.
Yeah, I never did see any details about it, but that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Even on Lake Shelbyville, it can happen,
That was the first time I'd ran any water, anything like that. I'd never seen. So I went up there with my boy before the off limits, and I hadn't registered for this event yet. And seeing where they were taken off from and how there was no protection, I had some doubts. And my son and I got back, and it was pretty hard. For as excited as I was to go smallmouth fishing and that, it was hard for me to click the register button. It was intimidating.
Yeah.
It's a different world up there. And there was a lot, I talked to some locals and stuff, and there was a lot of people upset with the fact that bass was taken off out of this ramp. So there's no major tournaments that take off. They haven't had any major tournaments out of this ramp. And for that exact reason is that there's nowhere to go. If it's any wind at all, and especially an east wind, if you get an east wind, the one day my son and I were up there, there was an east wind on Erie, and it wasn't much. It was like less than 10 mile, like a 5 mile an hour east wind, but it has the whole, however long Lake Erie is, I don't even know, 80 miles long, and it runs east and west, kind of northeast, but you get an east wind there, and it was just blowing right up, right into it. And like I said, I second guessed after being up there for practice and seeing what I seen with the rougher water. And again, compared to what we seen in the tournament, what I seen up there was not, I thought was rough, wasn't rough. And, but I
remember my dad and I used to go on Lake Michigan, and when it was north wind when you're in Chicago, okay, but normally we fished up on the western shore. It was that east wind. When that east wind would come across, it would get rough as you wouldn't believe.
It don't take much, and that's so. Yeah, so Bassmaster took a lot of. I think they are. I seen some of the posts on Facebook and stuff. Guys really complaining about why they were taken off out of that. Most places, like their BFLs and stuff, take off out of the Detroit River, and then if you have bad conditions, you can just you make the lakes off limits, and you let guys. At least we would have got. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time and stuff going up there to have them cancel. I know they can't predict the weather, and I don't know. I hope they don't take off out of that ramp ever again, because it's just not it's not an ideal situation to have to just dump out into the lake and go wherever, you
Well,
have to go.
especially they got to know where the good waters are. They know people aren't going to fish
Right.
there, and they're going to have to make long runs, and it's just not smart planning.
No, so it was an unfortunate deal. We didn't get to go. We got one day. I missed a check by 6 ounces. Didn't even really have a chance at the. I don't know. Like I said, I had a 2-pounder in my bag. I lost, that 3-pounder at the boat that I would, it gives you an extra pound. And then, I don't know how big the one was I lost, but, I think I could have had, close to 17 and a half pounds that first day, which would have put me, around the top 20. But there was a lot of, after talking, a lot of the guys that didn't make it back were guys that caught, there was, I know at least 5 guys that had said they had 20 pounds that didn't make it back.
Yeah.
So I would have been even farther down the standings.
But how many of these Bass Nations have you done? Was this year the first time you've done it?
Yeah, this was just my second one. I went to Pickwick in March, and then this one. So I finished 45th out of 100, and that's my first. This is my first smallmouth.
Damn respectful. Damn respectful.
Yeah, I think I got to consider it a win. I'm looking for it. I want to go back. Not out of that ramp, but
yeah.
Hopefully they'll go. I'll catch something up there maybe next year out of either St. Clair or maybe even out of the river and get to go back up there because it was a fun experience. Until you almost sink your boat, but it's fun until the wind blows.
Yeah. How'd you catch them? What was working? What wasn't working? What'd you try?
Oh, I did a lot of research, and the only thing you really need is a drop shot, and a drop shot. I tried some other. I actually did. I caught pretty much everything.
No tubes?
I couldn't get. I tried to tube a little bit when my son and I were up there, and they just didn't seem. The grass, there's a lot of sand grass and then this cabbage grass on St. Clair. So that tube would get balled up on that grass.
Oh, yeah.
The drop shot's about the only thing. A swim bait, I did catch some good fish on just a small, like a Kitech, 3.25 or whatever. Kitech.
That's what I was.
That's what my co ended up catching 2 of his good fish on. So my co-angler ended up in 16th. So he got a check.
Wow.
And he had already qualified for the national championship. So now he's double qualified, I think. But he caught some on swim bait. So I caught, of the fish I weighed in Wednesday, I caught 4 on a drop shot, and then I caught 1 good one on a 5XD crankbait. I'd caught a good one about every day in practice on a 5XD. So like in that area, the rock piles were kind of scattered out. So I'd fish a rock pile, and then when I was on the trolling motor going from rock pile to rock pile, the fish are just roaming everywhere out in these. It was basically just a big flat that came out, and then it dumped into the shipping channel. So I would just, when I was going from rock pile to rock pile, I'd just crank that 5XD around, and I caught my one of my good fish on that in the tournament. But
largemouth. Largemouth or smallmouth?
No, all smallmouth.
5XD. Wow. Not such a smallmouth if you could be eating that 5XD.
Yeah, it's fun too. They rip your arm off. That's a fun bite. I wish I could have got on that's all I could have done because you cover so much more water.
Yeah.
I
miss it. This year's been so good. This year's been so goofy here. Normally, say about mid-June to about mid-July, you get a 5XD or something. You get out on the points here and you get them. Boy, I haven't caught but a few this year. Just weird here in this area.
I don't think I've caught anything this year on a deep crankbait. Now that you bring that up around here.
Yeah, I saw you throwing it when we were fishing, and not a surprise too.
No, but everything else. Everybody talks about throwing the Berkeley flatworm up there, for smallmouth, and I actually didn't throw. I bought some just because that's what everybody figured. That's why change? They catch the fish, but I threw a Z-Man trick shot in practice, and they bit that too. I don't know that it really mattered, but then I threw the flatworm in the tournament. So with just about an 18-inch drop shot leader, I
Yeah.
seen some guys up there in practice, some of the local, I guess locals, they were throwing like a really long drop shot. And I'm guessing that was some of the grass beds, depending on what grass you were around. Some of the grass beds were taller grass. So maybe they were trying to keep it up above the
Be
grass.
right above it or something. Yeah. Or more
Yeah.
for the pendulum for
Where
suspending
I was
fish, kind
at,
of.
what I was fishing was mainly rock. It had some grass around it, and that's probably why I wasn't catching the bigger fish. I think a lot of the guys that I think did well. They're fishing more like these isolated cabbage patches of cabbage grass with sand. I could never really figure that. I found some of those patches in practice. I'm just not good enough with the live scope yet to really hunt those fish around the grass.
You
So I
ever
started.
go smallmouth fishing like up in Wisconsin or other Michigan waterways
I've
or?
been to Sturgeon Bay or that area one time,
Hmm.
just in the spawn, which it was cool to experience one time to go in the bays and see all the beds and throw whatever you throw a hot dog on a hook out there and they'd eat it if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, these fish were really so Tuesday the water was like slick calm. Was cool to be able to see. The bugs were horrible. I've never seen. I don't know what they were. They weren't the mayflies. I don't know if they were fish flies, which is maybe the same. I don't know. There was just these little bitty fly things, and if you quit, thanks, Brad. If you quit fishing, if you stopped your boat within 10 minutes, your whole entire boat, and I'm not exaggerating when I say your whole entire boat would be covered with these flies. It was like one of those times where you're like, all right, where's the wind at? To keep these things
Uh-huh.
off. It was cool.
Yeah.
You could see, you could drift across these flats in 12 foot of water and see the bottom and just see the smallmouth sitting on all these rock piles. And you could pitch whatever you wanted over there and they would eat it. And then miraculously you'd see one. And then when you'd hook one, there'd be 5 or 6 more swimming with it. I don't know where they came from, but it was, it just shows you how much they blend in. But that was kind of cool on Tuesday. I did that a little bit.
Yeah, I remember being a kid when my grandfather retired. He got a little place right on the lake in Bailey's Harbor. That's on the lakeside up by there. We just had a little John boat, but my God, it'd be 20, 25 feet down. You could see them. It was just unbelievable up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend more time the next couple of years smallmouth fishing. I actually told my son August slows down here a little bit. I already paid for my yearly license and that for Michigan. We may bus back up to Lake St. Clair. The elites are up there. I think the August 7th through the 10th. That'd be kind of cool. I've always wanted to go to. I've never been to an elite event or anything, so might just buzz back up there and watch some of those guys fish and catch some fish ourselves. If again, there's not a whole lot going on around here now.
Right. That's really cool. I went down in May of was it 19? I think the elites were on Kentucky Lake at Paris. So we went and saw the weigh-in on Thursday and Friday before the crowds got too bad, but it was pretty cool. And they have the whole setup, and you see all their boats. And
Yep.
I actually another time we went out to Table Rock, and I had no idea. This is the first time I took a road trip with my little aluminum 18-foot Triton and went down there, and it was a BPT event. I'm sitting there going, where are all these people coming from? Wait, I've seen him on TV and him on TV. They had a BPT event there. I followed Brandon Polinick a lot, kind of in back of him for a while in there. It was pretty wild.
Wow.
I remember thinking, I was watching him flip, and since it's number of fish, he was fishing so fast. I was amazed.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to be the guy. I wasn't in back of them. They had the camera boat. They had other people's boats, but I'd stay in back of them like 100 yards, and just to see, right?
Right. See how they were. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool, like I said, to go up there and kind of see the areas those guys are fishing. You learn that way, you don't. That's how you learn. And that lake
Right.
up there, I think Lake St. Clair is 270,000 acres. I mean, it's overwhelming. And they say you can pretty much drive anywhere across the lake and drop your trolling motor and see. It's just flat for one. You
Yeah.
got to get miles and miles offshore before you get into even 16, unless you're by the shipping channel. So those
Yeah.
rock piles most of those rock piles I was fishing, that I fished in the tournament anyways, were probably 14 to 16 feet deep. I did actually catch 2 fish on the actual shipping channel break in the tournament. I hadn't actually done that in practice much, but I thought, well, these fish should be moving out, getting deeper. And I had marked a couple of big boulders and stuff on the shipping channel break. So I kind of drifted that a little bit on Wednesday and caught 2 actually out there. And maybe, after going back and looking at my track on my, where I fished really Wednesday, I think maybe that's why I caught some better quality fish, as I fished more of the deeper rock piles that I didn't really fish those in practice. I marked them. I just spent my time idling and never really fished a lot of those in practice. I was fishing kind of more of that 12-foot of water. And I was catching 3-pounders, but you got to have you got to have 20 pounds up there to really
You're going to have 1, 3, right?
Yeah. So and I don't know. I didn't actually weigh any of, like I said, I had 2 that were pushing, that I would say were pushing 4 pounds. I didn't actually, I was in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't have much time. So I didn't think to weigh those. I didn't tag them. I just chucked them in the live well. And then, I tagged my smaller fish. I ended up culling twice. So I caught 7 keepers. I had 9 hooked. I don't think my co-angler ended up with 3 fish. They have a 3-fish limit on the co-angler side as well. He had 3 fish. He had 1 dead fish. I think he had 8.5 pounds. Somewhere around there. And he had another nice one at the net that somebody didn't do a very good job netting it, but I kind of felt bad. Them smallmouth, they see that net and they want to they go nuts.
Yep.
And he had it up 2 different times, and I tried to get it and it'd take off, so I pulled back, and I had the net kind of laying on the side of the boat, thinking the smallmouth wouldn't see it, and it came up and jumped, and I seen the swim bait come off, and I tried to scoop it, and I basically smacked it like a baseball bat. That would have. I don't think he had 3 solid fish, so obviously he had 3 fish for so they were all almost 3. It would have helped him some, but I don't know if it would have helped him a whole lot. But
yeah, that happens. I mean, it happens in all tournaments everywhere. They come unpinned. They see the boat. They go under it. They hit the prop.
I had that discussion in the morning, because I know a lot of the boaters are like, well, I'm not letting my up. There's stuff there with the small one. I'm not letting them touch the net and this and that. And I thought, well, yeah, there's just a chance of them coming off if I'm netting them myself than if somebody else is. And I told my that, I said, I think you and I maybe even had that discussion when we fished together. Yeah. I said, it's going to happen, especially if there was smallmouth. I said, we're going to lose fish. If we don't, great. But I'm planning we're going to lose, and we did. And unfortunately, it was me. I don't have great depth perception with only having, Chris probably can attest to that, with only having one eye. You don't have great depth
You've got a good excuse. You've got a good excuse there.
Hopefully I'm getting
that even netting my own fish. I never net my own fish unless it's a big one. And I'm like, ooh, I got to net this one. And I sit there, you got the pole in one hand, you got to net the other. And you know what you do when you go down to net it? You put slack on the line with the other hand, unless you're really paying attention. And I've lost them that way.
I netted one of my fish. I think it was the first time I culled. I had hooked up with one, and I didn't think it was that big. I was like, well, it's not going to help me. And we seen like 3 or 4 more with it. So I told him, I said, I don't think this fish is going to help me. I said, I'll just let it, dig down there. I said, grab something. Well, his rods were all tangled up, and he's trying to get something, and he finally gets it. And then by that time, the fish had got wore out, and it starts coming to the surface, and I see it's like another 3-pounder. And so he starts freaking out, going to try. And I said, I'll just, I just netted it myself, but ended up helping me. I ended up culling with that fish too. But we had a good time, and it's unfortunate that the weather played the way it did. And
but you got the experience, right? You got the hunger now. You've been up there. You've seen it. You've experienced it a little bit more. It's a little bit different, unique style of fishing, right?
Right. So Brad, I bought some hair jigs. I spent way too much. bought all this smallmouth tackle because I'd never been there. And now I found out the only thing you need is a couple packages of drop shot worms, some drop shot weights. But I bought some hair jigs because I know, that was, again, in my research, but never really had a chance to where, if I was looking at a fish where it didn't bite, the fish were pretty, on Wednesday. So in practice, it was mainly sunny, which the smallmouth kind of suspend a little bit more above the cover and you could see them and flip over to them, or I could catch them on a minnow. Even I did, I threw a minnow or even the swim bait a little bit. But when it's cloudy, like it was on Wednesday, they seem to be sucked more to the bottom. And like a lot of those rock piles, I couldn't even really see the fish. I would just pitch my drop shot over there. And then when it get where it needed, then next thing you know, you just see a blob kind of rise up above the rock, and you never even feel the bite. You just kind of see this blob show up above the rock pile, and you just kind of reel in a little bit, and you could tell they had it, and then you just set down. So I'm throwing the Seagar. I don't know what the new. It's some
Invisix, the Bray 6. Oh, Tatsu?
No, it's braid. Let me look it up here real quick.
Oh, braid. Okay.
New Seagar braid. It's like a JDM. It's from. So I was throwing 18-pound that, which is technically, I think that 18-pound and that is actually 10-pound diameter, I think, and then to 10-pound Invisix Seagar.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of this braid? I always forget what I want to say it's like JX. My buddy would probably tell me, is he on here? He's probably going to pipe in here if he's watching. Yeah. He's the one that got me hooked on it. It's very thin. It's not fun to tie, especially with one eye.
I got two eyes and I have a hard time tying those.
It's very hard to tie the leader line with this stuff.
Do you do uni or FG or the crazy Alberto or what? What's your technique there?
I do the is it the Alberto maybe? So let's see, I'm trying to think. Yeah, you make a loop, you double the fluorocarbon and you go through the loop and then up the line 6-7 times and then back down at 6 or 7 and back through the loop. That's what I do.
I think that is. Yep.
So it's the PEX8 braid. Like I said, I was throwing, so the 18-pound is 0.06. Yeah, 0.006 inches in diameter or 0.165 diameter. So it's very thin for 18-pound braid. And it's like a pink, it's like half pink, half neon green or lime. I don't know. It's an interesting, I can't see it very good. I actually like the straight. I did have a couple of rods spooled up with the Revolve or whatever, Berkeley Revolve line, because I can see that a lot better with the, it's like the bright, the bright green.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I threw that on. My main setup with the drop shot was I think we talked last time. I throw a lot of those Cashin rods. I work with Cashin a little bit, and so I threw the 7.2 medium light drop shot rod that they have. Phenomenal rod. That was about the only thing. That was the only rod I really threw. That was only,
Yeah. You're honed in on a technique.
Okay. Yeah, I think I bought some 1/4 ounce black hair jigs.
That's quite a technique. I remember early on I was watching some of those videos. You really got to know how to work and have experience. That's another one of those things. You just, wacky worm, you can tell your 5-year-old how to throw it and he can catch fish. But certain techniques, you really got to understand how to work it better, like working a jig properly.
If that's something more like on calm days, the guys are using, because the problem, the other thing with St. Clair is it's got a lot of current in it. So I was actually, I was only fishing 14, 16 feet deep. I was using a 3/8 ounce drop shot weight. And even that, the current moves it pretty quick. I was only fishing, most of my main area was only like a mile or two out into Lake St. Clair from the Detroit River. So it's where St. Clair kind of funnels into the river. There's a pretty good current. If I let off the trolling motor, I'd drift pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I think
I
like
remember
a
one.
quarter-ounce hair jig would have been difficult to fish.
Yeah, too light in that current. I know we were down in the Tennessee River off of Paducah one year, and they were really pumping water from the dam, and um, I only had like quarter-ounce tube jigs, and I'm like, it was forget it, no way. I
Yeah.
mean, it was ripping past where we were. I couldn't even get to the bottom with a quarter-ounce
Oh,
jig, you
wow.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if now I did throw like my minnow had I didn't throw the minnow and I had it tied up in tournament. I didn't really throw it much, but I threw it in practice quite a bit. I had a quarter-ounce on my minnow, but I had to throw it pretty far past the rock pile because by the time it'd get to the bottom, the current was, moving it pretty quick. And same way with my
Yeah,
swim bait. I actually had a 3/8 ounce on my swim bait head just for that reason to try to get it. If I seemed like if I threw the quarter on the swim bait and bringing it with the current, it just couldn't hardly keep up with it.
right, right, right. Wow, yeah. I mean, um, how wide is the river up there? I have no
The river is
idea.
not overly wide, so actually the Detroit River actually winds right through downtown Detroit, and that's what they call that the Miracle Mile. That's like the most. It's like I think I looked before. It's like one of the top 5 most dangerous waterways in the U.S. or something because it's only a couple hundred yards wide and it's nothing but seawalls and the waves have nowhere. So that's when a lot of guys go up there and they worry about big rough water other than Erie, that's kind of where everybody hates running through there. And we got lucky every day. It really wasn't too bad. It was rough. You had to slow down, especially in my 19-foot boat. Some of the guys with 21 footers, they were just plowing through it. But I had to slow down quite a bit through that. And they call it the Miracle Mile. It's actually probably like a 3 or 4 or 5 mile stretch where it's through downtown Detroit where it's nothing but seawalls and that. So yeah, there it's not very wide. And then you get kind of through that area, it widens out in some areas. The West Channel, which I ran going up on Wednesday because I thought it'd be calmer. It's the same way. It's called the Trenton Channel. It's not very wide. And then they've got down towards the mouth of Erie. There's a shipping canal where the shipping boats. There are a lot of shipping boats and stuff. They go through, and that thing, I don't even think it's 100 yards wide.
And
It's
these
kind of
huge barges are going through, right? With just
yeah.
barely getting through.
You don't want to
Yeah,
catch one of those going through there.
yeah.
But the same way
I've
with the
gone to,
river, the Detroit River's got a constant like 5 or 6 mile an hour current. It's tough fishing. I tried to fish in the river a little bit in practice, and just the current's something you really gotta spend your time to learn.
yeah. Got to get on those eddies from what I read and a little
Yeah,
experience I've had down at Paducah.
yep. Anywhere the current breaks, they say. I mean, a lot of guys just they just kind of get out there on the drops and stuff, and they just drift and let their bait drag, and it comes by a rock that a fish is sitting behind, and
Yeah.
so.
So you think you're going to fish the same destinations next year, or what are you thinking?
I see these schedules are starting to come out. I don't know that they'll announce that schedule anytime soon, but I'm going to see what the schedule's like. I really would like to qualify for the national champion. I really was looking forward to it this year. It's going to be on lacrosse. I've never been up to lacrosse, and didn't work out. Didn't
Yeah.
wasn't cards, but we'll see where the championship is. That'll probably dictate a lot. And go from there. I'm going to go ahead and since I didn't qualify for that, I'm going to fish the BFL. I was going to kind of have to choose between the BFL regional and the national championship. They're not on top of each other in October, but that's kind of my busy time with work and harvest and stuff. So I was going to have to make a decision. If I would have qualified for the national championship, I would have skipped the BFL
No
regional.
brainer. Yeah.
Looks like I'm committed for the BFL regional now.
Yeah.
So I will be on the Mississippi River, October, what is it, 3rd and 4th, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I probably need to spend my time up there instead of going back to Lake St. Clair. But
Oh yeah.
12 pounds of largemouth or 20 pounds, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, seasonally, those guys get some big bags up there too.
So I heard, I hadn't had it confirmed by anybody yet. Maybe you know, or maybe somebody on here knows. It sounds like they're not going to let us run to 13 this year. Is that it's only pools 14, 15, and 16 instead of four or whatever. What was it? Five of them last year. I think you could go two either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. I think you could go down 2, up 3, or something like that. I forgot.
It sounds like they've cut that off, and there's no run into 13 this year. So that's going to kind of change from what I've talked to people and done a little research. It might be a little crowded. I think a lot of guys were thinking, you know, they changed the ramp location. A lot of guys were thinking they'd only have to lock twice, and it'd be an easier run to get to 13. And now that's going to be out of the question. So
Yeah, I did see a post that said that same thing. I can't confirm or deny it. My situation, I haven't been studying it too much, but
oh, you're going to go. You just need you need one fish at Kentucky Lake. Surely you can pull one fish out at Kentucky Lake.
I don't know. I hope
I've
so.
never fished the super before. You get a different boater each day.
Yeah. Well, it's supers are different than the regional. The regional, the super is you draw a different boater, but only the top 20 fish day two, or
Boater
top
and towing.
20% or top 20. I
Boater
forget
and
which.
towing. Okay.
Yeah. Now, on the regional, it was 3 days last time where you fish two for sure, and then like the top 20 fish day three. I think it's a 2-day event and everyone fishes both days. I think that's the other change. Some other guys were talking
But
about last time.
you
So
still draw a different co every day.
yeah, yeah, try you mix it up a little bit. And then what they did last year was they purposefully they put Illini co-anglers. I had Great Lakes boaters both days and vice versa, I think. So different people mix it up, right?
I don't know. How do you, as a co-angler, how do you feel? How do you feel about the format of drawing a different boater?
I think I think it's a good thing because it evens things out. Boaters
Yeah.
have different skill levels, co-anglers have different skill levels, but your success of a co-angler, um,
Yeah.
it's a pro and con here. If you have someone who's really not good and he's not in good areas, game over. Okay. If you have a guy who's an absolute hammer, um, even though you should be around fish, they might be hard to catch according to how he's scoping or how he's fishing or how he's boat positioning. And then, in between is like you and a lot of boaters I have, and like the guy I had last week on Kentucky Lake, trying to do everything to help me out and get me on fish here. So I think in fairness to everyone, I think it's the right draw to kind of even it out a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard, really, if you think about it, there's really no way that really makes it, because if you give a guy the same boater, I mean, again, then it's kind of a luck of the draw, you could say, on whether if you get a guy that's around fish, you're around fish both days. If you get a guy that's not around fish, you're not around fish both days. But then it kind of goes to that again, if you get a guy, you're leading the first day and then you just draw, somebody that's, down in the stand. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. There's really no way, I guess, to.
Right. I mean, Hayden
So
Swain
when they
last
do
year, a
that,
co-angler from the Illini division, he had a full bag of five. It was five last year for co-anglers. He was leading, day one with like, I don't know, 14, 15 pounds. And day two, I think he got no fish or one fish.
yeah, that's rough.
And
Well,
same thing on day three, and he didn't even get to the All-American after leading day one. Yeah,
that's a bummer.
that's yeah.
So what
Yeah.
are they taking? Is it just the top three now this year go to the All American?
Yeah, because it's just two divisions. Last year it was four and they took six. So it's the same ratio, but it's a smaller field. So it's
Right. There'll be
last year,
120.
yeah, last year it was Hoosier and Michigan and Great Lakes and Illini.
Okay.
Now
So yeah,
this
similar
year,
show, but
co-angler doesn't win a boat. Co-angler gets 20 grand.
really,
That's another change. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, a lot of changes going on. I don't. It's the same way with these bass. So we had, this Bass Nation. We had, like I said, 170 boaters, which is a good turnout, but they only had 70 co-anglers.
Oh,
I
really?
think they're probably gonna have to. I would assume they're gonna make some changes to this regional format thing. I've seen a lot of guys really unhappy with the formats. It seems like a lot of the older Bass Nation guys. Again, they used to be just the team guys. The guys that were fishing Bass Nation tournaments in their state and things like that. That would get to fish these regionals, and then again, I don't think they were getting overly great. They were maybe only getting 80 boats for a regional. And they thought, well, how can we get better participation? Well, we'll just open it up to at-large member, and it's been great for bringing boaters in, but it's not been great for the co-anglers. So I don't, all these
And I bet,
organizations and stuff
I,
every.
co-angling is down. Participation across the board is down in BFLs. Be it, condition, scoping, other things, costs, travel. Um, the payback is, you're not going to make money doing this. I mean,
I think
um,
so. This tournament, it paid. I think it paid almost 11,000 for first on the boater side. Um, My buddy that was up there, Taylor Umland, he ended up finishing 28th, and I think he got $750, which was better than I honestly thought it would be. I think 25th through 40th got $750, which again, it was more than I had thought it would be. And then, it kind of went up from there. But I think, yeah, first place was 11,000, and then, they paid maybe 5, 6, 5, 2, if
yeah,
you didn't get in the
yeah,
top, if you didn't get in the top five,
exponential.
you probably didn't pay for your trip. Let's put it that way.
Right, right, right.
So it
Yeah,
ended up taking 23 pounds and something to win, but local guy who's won a lot of stuff up there. Very good up there. Young kid.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting. They didn't have that many yet. It's going to be really interesting to see, you know, what the rule changes may be for next year for the different circuits. The pro ones and the semi-pro ones, and the participation here. Going to be very interesting. I know we were talking about it. In fact, we were talking about it at Ren. I mean, participation was so low again. Participation super low at Indiana. Some people say they might have to just merge us because I mean, they got to have a break even point or something, you
I
know?
got to thinking. I got to thinking the other day. I said, "Man, with only 60 boats, does that open up a few different lakes you could go to with only 60 boats for BFL?
Oh, if
Springfield.
yep,
I don't know. I don't even want to say the word down here. My
yeah,
lake.
yeah,
It'd
yeah.
be nice,
Don't
but
let
I
those
don't
guys down
know.
here.
60 boats on that lake would be tough. But Springfield, I think, guys would spread out enough. What was the other one I thought of the other day? Maybe with 60 boats. But I don't know. I don't think they're going to change. They probably not going to. But
Yeah, yeah. More things change, the more they stay the same, and I don't think there's truer words here because the world is constantly changing. Our sport is changing. People are changing. I mean, you look at participation here. Um, there are some younger guys here, but there's a lot of aging people, and I see I saw let me say this appropriately. I saw a bunch of anglers not doing so well as they used to here, and I thought about it, and some faces that aren't around anymore. Bobby
yeah,
McMullen's on his comeback year this year
yeah.
at like 82 or
How
something,
did
but
how did he finish the other day? Did he?
I did not see him, but I know I think he's out of first place now
I
in the
was just
point
looking.
standings. But he caught a few fish, didn't do great, but enough to get his points and keep him in the running. I think I forgot the
Let's see what.
particulars. You pull it up here. Anyone else see it?
I was trying to pull it up. Standings.
Hey, Brad, which one are you talking about? There's all kind the oh, he said he was Corey was thinking about maybe doing the super tournament. Yeah, there's all kind of different USA Bass and then I saw even Trey McKinney's having some USA Bass
Oh,
and
yeah, I think
Bass
that's probably
Bash
what he's
event
talking
too.
about in September. I think
Yeah,
that's the weekend after, I think, the super tournament. Or
yeah,
no, it might even be the weekend before.
yeah. I think we're the first weekend. Why aren't we like the sixth, seventh, something like that?
Yeah. Is that they do that a Saturday, Sunday?
They used to. I'm
I
not
think
sure
that's
what it is this year. Yeah, Trey McKinney
either
Open. Yeah,
be the 6th and the 7th.
is that
For
a
some
Saturday,
reason,
Sunday?
my okay, so Riley Walk is leading the um, boater division now.
What's his points?
980, 968, and Andrew Harper is in second with 957. So it's the
Oh
boater
yeah,
side's
Andy
still
was
going.
leading before the last event. Yeah, Andy only got like a couple fish or something. I think I saw.
Well, I got a few to see if I got any points to spare. Now I don't have a 457. Some of these guys could catch me if. So how many points can you get? What's the maximum you can get for the super?
350. It's 250 for the regulars and it's 350. So 1350 all year long, right? Four at 250 and one at 350.
Yeah, some of these guys could pass me up, but uh, I don't think I know. I don't know if Dowdy. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'll have to talk to the missus and see if she may want me to. She may want me to just get out of the house. She'll be just unpacking and setting, getting everything in your house. She may just want me to,
Yeah,
take
you
off.
keep on talking yourself into that one. Dog
Yeah.
house.
Is it the weekend
But
before
sometimes
the
I understand.
LBS?
Yeah, that
Oh, it
was that
is.
Trey McKinney USA Bassin thing.
It's the
I
weekend
saw a
before.
couple of Facebook posts. I didn't look into it. Is it like a big bass bash or what is it, Brad?
Not sure, yeah. Got to see. Oh man, my Cubbies are getting their butts kicked.
Yeah, they were losing the other day too. They've been hot all year. But they're playing a tough team. They still playing
You're
Boston.
probably a Cardinals fan down there, right? Or no? Oh, that's
Grew
right.
up
Yeah,
in
we have this.
Chicago,
Yeah,
North
you're from.
Side.
Yeah, you can't win them all.
No, no, but it's good that everyone gets their time in the light, kind of like
Yeah,
fishing.
I might have to sneak down. That'd be the only bad thing. I'd want to get down there and get a couple days practice on before that tournament. That week might be a little tough.
When are you moving?
That Labor Day, we're closing. We close our house that Friday before the August 28th or 29th, and then going to move that weekend.
Oh, oh. How far
So
away is it?
that I'm moving
Yeah,
about a half a mile.
half a mile. Okay.
Yeah, we're
It's
just moving
amazing. It
down.
doesn't matter if it's half a mile or 200 miles.
We're,
It's still a shit ton of work.
we're just moving down the street a little ways. I'm going to finally have a garage stall for my boat.
Sweet.
Well, that'll be nice. Next time I do a live stream, I'll have a better background than just a white wall maybe.
Yeah, cool.
Be out in the man
Really got to
cave. And looking forward to that.
think it's a team tournament. All right,
Okay.
before we have to cut out here, guys, got any last minute questions for Corey here? Actually, we've got a bunch of people hop on here. Had a really good discussion here. Um, any closing thoughts here? You're
If you
gonna
go
do
to Lake
your
Erie,
homework.
make sure you got a backup bilge pump.
Uh, uh, and a 21-foot boat.
And I've been really thinking about until my wife talked me into buying a new house. I was thinking about upgrading to a 21-foot boat, and after being up there,
If you're gonna do that stuff, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Even
I mean,
on,
I talked to the guys on 21-foot boats. You still get the crap beat out of you. It's just a little bit. You can keep the front. You
yeah,
take maybe a little less water and feel like you
yeah,
got a little more stability than that The other thing I learned, or I not learned, but people talk about is having a four blade prop. Kind of
Oh,
helps
really?
you. Yeah, it just helps your boat, helps you get out of the water. So when you get those big
Oh, when
rollers
you're, yeah,
and you
yeah.
try to get on it. My 200 with that 3 blade, it kind of just bogged a little bit, and I couldn't quite climb them. They say with a 4 blade.
4 blade to 250. Yeah.
My co-angler, that poor guy, he took a lot of water. He,
Yeah.
it
No
was blowing
console
off
on
that.
that
It was
side.
coming over that side of the boat.
Yeah.
We put our rain gear on, and he said, I told him, I said, I'm not sure what's a worse position to be in. My position where I'm responsible for my life and your life and my boat sinking. I said, or your position sitting over there where you have no control and you're taking all the water. And he said,
Yeah.
just keep your hammer down. You're doing great. So he had actually come all the way from Georgia.
Really?
So
Wow.
I told him
Wow.
we joked, we both, well, when we stopped at the end of the river, going out into Erie, and I looked and I said, have you ever get in a situation where you're contemplating your life decisions? I said, because I'm having one of those moments right now, contemplating why I was there. But and then we got done. I said, I bet you're never coming back to a smallmouth tournament again after that, are you? So,
Yeah. Yeah, I was glad to have a 21 foot Ranger on Kentucky last week for that 30-mile run. I mean, it was a couple 4 footers going down, but coming back. I mean, we had 25-mile-an-hour winds in our face coming out of the south. And then
so
as it got more
you
pleasurable,
guys ran through it. I've heard Kentucky Lake can get pretty bad when you get.
well, it's north-south, and if you get a north or a south, man, woo, right?
Well, I'm guessing, I don't know which way that was blowing there, but like up there, I think the waves were so Lake Erie, again, it's shallow, a lot of shallow stuff. And then you get these rock reefs. And then it was also coming out of the south, it was blowing into the current. And anytime winds blowing
Yep,
against the current, they just stack up higher. And a
yep,
lot of the
yep,
guys said, normally you get winds on Erie and stuff, you can run in the troughs and the rolling waves. These were just very, steep waves, again, probably because they were blowing against the current, and then just the way the lake is right through that area. I tried to get out a little farther where it was deeper, because again, you get into shallow water, the waves, seem to
yeah.
get worse.
But they come in from the deep and hit that structure, and it pushes all that water up again too. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried getting out a little farther, and it didn't seem to help. But you couldn't really, there wasn't even really a trough you could run in. They were very, talked to a lot of guys. Garrett Paquette was up there, who's a well known, he's been around.
Yep.
He posted saying that was the worst stuff he's ever, most irregular waves and stuff that he'd ever ran in or ever seen like that. It was just really odd conditions. And
Yeah, it's like Lake of Ozarks. It's not just waves, it's the swells, because it's a bouncing around in other boats and current, and it
yep.
gets unpredictable. All of a sudden, there's a 6 foot swell, right? But times whatever X with that body of water. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll never complain about a 25-mile-an-hour wind on Clinton Lake anymore. I'll tell you that. I used to look at the water like, oh man, it's going to blow 25. I'm not going fishing today. Nah, that'll be nothing.
Hey, there'll be no one out there. It'll be my lake.
Exactly.
And those fish like that nasty weather, it seems.
They like to bite, except
Yeah.
smallmouth. Smallmouth like the sun. That is one thing I learned. Smallmouth like the sun. Now, they did bite pretty good on Wednesday, the way it was. But again, I think they're just smallmouth. You get around them and put something in front of them. But you can definitely tell they like the sun a little better.
Yeah. And they're more visual feeders. I've heard people talk about it than largemouth. Okay, everybody.
Is Chris still on here? See if he chimes in. Where are you going to get your eye fixed, Chris? Just curious. I think his name was Chris.
Yeah, it was Chris back here. Yeah.
If he's going to just a local doctor, or
I can't tell who's on. I've got the free version of StreamYard.
right. I was just
With the
curious.
$500 a year package, I probably could tell you.
University of Iowa. That's all I can say. That's where I'm going Thursday. The local doctors finally sent me up there. It's about a 3-hour drive, but the eye care up there is just unreal. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we wish you the best of luck with that here, boy. You talk about how far they've come on eye surgery and the RK and all that stuff and laser surgeries and retina reattachments and
they're,
retina implants, and it's like
they're,
bionic stuff almost, right?
they're going to scrape my eye with a diamond burr. So if that, sounds real pleasant, but hopefully get this calcium off here and then go from there.
Yeah, they probably got to pull the tissue off and make it regenerate by scuffing it up, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. And then, of course, there's always, side effects, then it changes the shape of your eye and probably have a contact. And I've got a couple other more surgeries I'll probably have to be put out for that needs to be done on it that I'll probably wait till this winter when I'm not busy fishing or farming and have a little more free time. So this will be the first of 2 or 3 operations I got to have.
Yeah. So was it just scheduled that you had it done now, an opportunity, and not later, or
Well,
just, hey,
they wanted to do this back in, we were kind of, started talking about this back in May, and then we look at the tournament schedule and, they said 3 to 5 day recovery. And I'm like, we got to do it on a Thursday because that's when he's over at the hospital. And I'm thinking, well, I got tournament. So I said, well, the next weekend I don't have a tournament's in July. So here we are.
gotcha. Well, at the end of July into August, right?
Yeah.
So what's the next thing on your calendar, fishing wise?
Uh,
Actually, hard calendar.
there's just a small singles tournament this weekend, I think, on Clinton. Like I said,
That's
I don't
kind of
know.
optional according to how you feel, right?
Yeah, we have a jackpot. I'm not sure when our August jackpot is. Maybe the 13th of August. No, that's not a weekend. The 16th, maybe 16th of August. I think we've got a tournament. Other than that, nothing until, if I fish the BFL
Super tournament or regional. Yeah.
I just really have some local stuff to fit. It was a bummer. We were actually in, I think 3rd or 4th place in AOI in the local jackpots. And my tournament partner for that, he had a different tournament he had to fish last weekend, and I was gone to. So we gave up our chance at AOI running to go up there. But
Okay, no risk, no reward. If you don't go to Bass Nation, you can't make the championship. That's a big deal.
Yeah. So we're kind of out of that. So yeah, I don't really have anything. I guess I'm probably going to honestly go up and spend some time on the river up there. I think it's maybe 2 hours from me to the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
Never fished those 3 pools, so I'm probably going to go up there and spend my weekends, in August.
Smart plan. I'm
Checking
sure they'll
out.
fish different in October, but you can mark and get a feel. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just want to kind of get an idea, on how to run. I'm not a river guy. Everybody told me I need to have I'm a very conservative boat operator, I feel like, but everybody's like, oh, you need an extra lower unit, an extra prop, and
You just need to be careful, and you got to watch those wing dams, right? You got to have good maps that show you where those wing dams are, and pay a little bit of attention. Like I was asking my boaters, and they're like, "Oh, we're pretty familiar here, but you know what? You follow the other guy, and you just, you know."
It seems like everybody I've ever talked to that's done well on the river, they're like, well, I got in this little backwater area. I had to run through 6 inches of water to get there, and that doesn't really, sound fun to me. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
Other than that, wait for these schedules to come out and see, Bass Nation for next year. I've thought about jumping up and, fishing some Toyota series. That's always, I think if you fish like 3 in a division and you finish in the top 40, you make their $200,000 championship or something. So Trying to definitely
Yeah,
expand and fish some bigger, some bigger tournaments out of the state of Illinois and get some experience.
yeah, I fished the Plains division this year, and it was Lake of Ozarks, Kentucky Lake, and it'll be Lake of Ozarks in September. And then what
Yep.
they added this year is a wild card division. So you fish your division, but if you fish any four, you can take your best three scores, and that goes toward a wild card. So I didn't find
Okay.
out about till a little later. It was too late to do it. I should have jumped in another one, so I could have had the chance.
And yeah, that's kind of interesting.
But yeah, traditionally
Like
the
about the
Plains
best circuit.
is going to be those lakes, Kentucky Lake, Lake of Ozarks. I think they also go to Grand Lake too, and kind of alternate.
Yeah, that I think the Toyotas really seem like that's kind of the next. You fish some BFLs, you go. I know some guys fish the opens, but unless you're going to try to fish all 9, if you get a chance and that's just a lot of, the Toyota seems about the best bang for your buck, I think, on as far as, having a shot at a championship. And
Yeah,
from
but
there.
I think they changed the Bassmaster Opens this year. So, uh, um, boy, I forget the details. What you should look it up.
You
It's
fish
as
4. You
opposed
have
to
to fish 4 in the division, is what. But then
yeah, yeah,
if you qualify through that, then you got to fish 4 more.
right. But you don't got to commit for 9.
Right, not off the bat. Yeah, you only got to commit to the
Right,
4.
right.
Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, the cost is a big part of it. That's why a lot of people like the Toyotas. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some experience on some different waters, and hopefully
Yeah.
these regionals, they're not bad. For a $400 entry fee, and you got a chance to
Yeah.
qualify directly to the national championship. That's pretty. Uh,
That's like
that's
a
not
lotto ticket.
that's not that steep of a not that steep of a. And we've got a couple guys. We all go together, share the costs or whatever. That helps a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Toyotas were $500, just over 500 for a co-angler. They're $1,500 a piece, I think, for the boater.
Right.
Times 3 times food and lodging and all that too. So, not a cheap sport.
Yeah.
Probably not going to get rich doing it.
You're probably not going to get rich. It's just a
Most
hobby.
likely not.
Just a hobby.
An expensive hobby. Hey,
Yes.
last one, we missed one of John's comments here. Yeah, back to the thermocline coming in usually in that late July, August until it starts cooling off again, where, yeah, you lose all that oxygen in that deep water and it drives them shallow again. Every lake is different, but yeah. And you
Okay.
can
Yeah.
see it on your graph too, right? If you kind of tune your graph up, you can see that level.
Yeah. I actually haven't fished around here for probably a month now. I was gonna go. I got back Friday. They canceled Friday. I was gonna stay up there and fish, and then I was just kind of bummed out and didn't have a place to stay, and the weather didn't look great for the weekend. So I drove back Friday. Had planned to get up and go fishing Saturday before the storms. I'm glad I didn't. It stormed pretty early here Saturday. But yeah, I haven't fished out here in like a month. But a lot of guys are saying there's pretty defined thermocline that's set in and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. The old dog days here, and yeah, it's definitely it's slowed down on my little Pana Lake here big time, and yeah, I could see my thermocline is anywhere from 15 to 18, maybe 20 feet, but it was at 15 feet 2 weeks ago was the first time I saw it.
Have you, not to change the subject, it's completely off topic. Have you fished a super at Kentucky Lake before?
Yes, Illini division was down there year before last.
So how many do you get? A lot of locals? You get 20 locals that jump
Oh
in
yeah,
from
there'll be at least 20 jackpotter
I figured
locals.
those guys down there are hardcore. I figured they'd be jumping in
Oh yeah. Oh
especially
yeah.
if they have an LBL division one coming up, they'll be yeah.
Yeah, the LBL one I think is at the end of the month. We're talking about that. I'm sure Brad will know the date here.
So is that a bigger entry? Is that a double entry for the super?
No, it's one. It's the same or time and a half. I forgot. It's on
Okay.
the website. It's yeah. It's not. It's not a double entry. Yeah.
Talking about the,
You heard
is he
about
talking
the
about the
fights in the
river?
locks last year.
At the
Uh,
river?
uh, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. I was in there. I didn't see it, but there were so many boats. In fact, I've got a picture of it I could post here. Absolute crazy. I think Keller Outdoors, something Keller, Kellerar. Um, he actually caught it on video. It blew up. He got 5,000 hits like overnight on it because controversy is the best thing for your videos. I know
Oh,
Harper lost a trolling motor. I mean, we were bumping boats. People hadn't done it before. There's too many people in the locks. Everyone just it was just it's bad mojo.
yeah, it doesn't sound like that's a great. I'm not overly excited. I was kind of bummed. I missed the regional last year, and I thought, all right, next year I'm. And then they come out, and it's Mississippi River again, and kind of bummed about it. But we'll go up
It's
there
nice
and
scenery up there. It's pretty wild because like you were seeing before, it's like I remember seeing the Bassmaster Classic in Knoxville. They take off in downtown Knoxville. It's like a city and a million people come to see you off here, where we're always in the middle of Bufu fishing and in Quad
right.
Cities, it's like, wow, you're taking off right by the city and here's this bridge and the city coming up at sunrise. It was pretty cool, but then you take off and you're out in the woods if you go a little bit north or south of there. So hopefully, since people hadn't done it in years, people learned about it last year. Changing the rules about how many and how far you can go, and
That's,
maybe a little bit more from the tournament directors on etiquette and what to do and all that here. So hopefully, everyone will be a little bit more ahead of it this year, maybe a little more gracious in the lot. I hope. I hope. There's always a few, but
I don't know, with cutting that, those pools down. I feel like, which again, I guess they're cutting the boats to 120 instead
that
of
cut.
200 or whatever. So less boats. Maybe that's why
Yeah,
they're doing it. But I don't. From
yeah.
what I've heard and how small it already fishes, it's gonna be it's 1.5. Okay, it's sounds like you're fishing in a crowd. It's hard to find something to yourself.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I did see it.
Have to,
Didn't say. I seen somebody posted on the Facebook page the other day saying it doesn't say online anymore, and that's when I said, "Well, I heard up there talking with some guys this last week that yeah, they weren't allowing no more." Because I asked guy, I said, surely I just got to
I
go to
thought
Facebook.
it wasn't on the MLF page. Well, I guess they sent out an email or something about it a while back. Did you? That talked about the changes. So go check your MLF email. Remind me, guys. It was a little bit after we started the live streams. It came up, maybe a half a dozen or so into them, and they sent out an email, and we were talking about one time. So
I'm looking back. I usually
yeah,
keep.
we can probably we can dig
Um,
it up, or we can just call up our tournament director and ask him what the plans are.
yeah, MLF. Yeah, I don't see anything. Who
Oh,
knows when
Brad's
they?
saying it doesn't say anymore. Maybe they're changing their
No,
plans
it
again.
doesn't.
Who knows?
I know it doesn't say on the website because that's what people were complaining about.
Yeah, I think there were some more details for the changes in the email, wasn't there?
Yeah, I've only got 2 emails and it doesn't say any other one. So, oh, here we go. It just talks about the expansion. That's all it talks about. It doesn't talk about our. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure they'll come out with it here sooner or later. And
Yeah, we could, now's about time where we want to ping them. People are going to start making practice plans, lodging plans, all that here. So,
it'll be
that's
September. Yeah, 2 months away here before long. 2.5 now, but
yeah, I'll take it to go look at my email and maybe even I'll ping Bob here and
yeah,
see
a
if we
lot
can
of
get a
fishable
little
water
more
in those
clear.
3 pools for sure. Well,
Yeah,
I
I'll
think,
put that on the
well,
list.
so the pool it's taken off in pool 15, I think is only 8 miles long. That's just basically kind of the Quad Cities area. So I don't know how long 16 and 14 are, but I think 8 or 15 is kind of a, miniature pool compared to the rest of them.
Yeah, 14 was a lot bigger. I remember there was a lot more water to travel in 14.
Okay.
A lot of people were in 14 too. So
I'll probably have to go home and pull up the map tonight and start now. You got my brain thinking about it. I spend a lot of time doing map study, which on
yeah,
that river, I guess doesn't really do you any good. You basically see where the main channel's at, but once you get in these backwaters and stuff, you don't.
yep.
There's really not a whole lot to see.
Nothing replaces time on the water.
I'll be there. I'll put my time in.
Yeah. 14 has a lot of backwater. Yep.
A lot of places rip my lower unit off. That's what I like to hear.
What do you mean you don't have a spare?
I will probably have a spare before that.
Some guy said he knocked off his lower unit like the day before at 4 o'clock, called up a place, ran over, and they popped one on and before they closed in like 45 minutes.
Right. They're pretty easy to fix if you got one.
$5,000, 45 minutes. He's like, yep, that was a nice trip.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun to me.
No. All right, everybody. Real lively debate today. Extra special thanks for Corey to coming out and sharing his great adventures here, and even got me excited thinking about Mississippi, although I stopped thinking about it on Saturday. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. I'm not sure who's on next week, but we'll find someone, and keep your lines tight till then. Good night.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Corey.